Connect. How are we doing today? Lots of energy, fantastic. So, as I sat here on Monday and we talked about the theme of Connect, driving the future, I had a bit of an epiphany. And that epiphany was that driving the future is a shift in mindset for all of us. It's about anticipating trends, boldly innovating, and leading from the front. So we really want to shape what's next and not wait for it to happen. And I think about that as taking the wheel. But before we can take the wheel, we've got to have a destination in mind. And for many organizations, the destination is quite clear. It's essentially profit and revenue growth. That's very clear, that's what we want to achieve. It's improving efficiency, reducing cost. And finally, it's about reducing legal, reputational, and financial risks at all costs from a compliance perspective. So we've got our destination in mind. How do we get there? We need a vehicle. And the vehicle in this case is your business strategy. It's those strategic initiatives that you're embarking on that are going to get you to that destination. So top of the agenda for everyone today is probably AI, machine learning success. How can we leverage AI to enhance the customer experience, to streamline business operations, and to improve the productivity of the workforce? It could be SAP transformation strategies that you're embarking on, or indeed customer 360 strategies that are centered on building a more intimate knowledge of your customers to drive engagement. So we've got the destination in mind. We've got a vehicle to get to. But what do all vehicles need? They need fuel. And the fuel is trustworthy data. Trustworthy data is the foundation to fuel your strategic initiatives, the associated business systems and business processes to get us to that destination. It's the foundation for growth and success. And what sits at the heart of all of this is the customer. Now, for you, your customer could be an individual or consumer in a B2C setting, or it could be another organizational entity, so an organizational customer. And Stibo Systems' customer data platform is built to ensure that you can master both. But we're faced with challenges today. And the first problem we face is that we're drowning in data. That signal to noise ratio that Adrian spoke about on Monday is tipping the wrong way. Now more than ever before, you have more siloed islands of information across your enterprise landscape. There is no trustworthy version of the truth of your customer. And of course, we have pressures outside of what we can control. So we have cost increases. You have compliance mandates that continue to grow. And all the while, your competition is getting smarter. So it's fair to say that the cost of error is at an all-time high. What you need is one trustworthy single version of the truth of your customers across the enterprise. And you need that for your employees today, and you'll need that for your AI agentic agents of tomorrow. The second challenge is customer information is not standing still. It's on the move constantly. Contact details change. Locations of your customers change. Company structures will change. Your decisions need recent, reliable, trustworthy data to make sense. You need an intelligent data platform that enables progressive data management capabilities to create richer customer profiles. And these two challenges I've just spoken about, they exist regardless of if you're trying to make sense of tens or hundreds of millions of individual consumers to deliver personalization at scale. Or if you are trying to, from a B2P setting, manage complex organizations, relationships, and structures. So today's focus, we're going to zone in on B2B customer MDM use cases powered by Stibo Systems Business Partner Data Cloud. And there are essentially two approaches to how we drive value or solve these problems. So approach one is what we call the consolidation approach. This is where we create, sustain, and govern that elusive single version of the truth across those siloed islands of information. Now, the second approach is called the central authorship approach. This is where Business Partner Data Cloud is going to take a more authoritative control and governance around the actual creation of your customer data. And this is underpinned by a mantra of created right the first time, governed from the start, and crucially, trusted from day one. And we're going to zone in on this second approach. So we're going to be looking at optimizing business partner onboarding, leveraging Stibo Systems Business Partner Data Cloud. Now, when we think about how you onboard a customer in a B2B setting, it's not just about collecting a company name and an address. Onboarding involves compliance checks, credit checks, tax and trade considerations, payment terms, logistics. It's a complex web that we need to shift through to onboard the customer. So let's kind of delve into that customer onboarding journey in more detail. So what does it look like today? So customer onboarding is a complex cross-functional process that involves different personas within your organization. I call it a team sport. So you think about sales are involved, service, logistics, finance, compliance, and it's essentially several different but interrelated activities that are underpinned by data that come together to onboard the customer. Now, I said it was complex, not just based on what I just explained, because that is complex, but also because the way you're organized is complex. Think about the lines of business that you might hold within your company, how you're organized across operating companies, perhaps regions, geographies, and that same complexity applies to your customers. So what are some of the challenges with this business partner onboarding journey that you face today? Well, customer onboarding is slow. It's manual, it's error-prone. Oftentimes, there's back and forth over email between these different constituents involved in the process. Data is often incomplete and unverified. This process is plagued with data quality issues from the start. There's often no workflow for setup and amendments. And where the rubber meets the road is this friction that's part of this onboarding process. It cascades into the business processes that are fueled by this data. So think about challenges with extending erroneously wrong lines of credit to a customer, logistics concerns, payment terms, invoicing and shipping errors. Ultimately, the entire order-to-cash process is impacted. So Business Partner Data Cloud transforms what's manual and fragmented today to an orchestrated, connected, intelligent onboarding journey. So I'm going to show you how with a live demo shortly. But before we get to that demo, let's take a look at a short video to frame how Business Partner Data Cloud drives value and revolutionizes customer data management.
What's your B2B customer data hiding from you? Margin erosion, credit risk, missed growth opportunities? Fragmented hierarchies, duplicate accounts, and indirect channels lead to countless cases of mistaken identities. Stibo Systems Business Partner Data Cloud lets B2B-focused companies see the full picture through a single trusted view of accounts and trading partners. Streamline onboarding, deliver reliable data for reporting, and effectively manage your complex business partner relationships. With comprehensive customer data services, data quality, and customer data unification, all underpinned by AI. No more mistaken identities, no more losing track of customers. Turn clean, connected customer data into your most powerful commercial asset.
Okay, fantastic. So we've learned about the value. Now let me show you. We're going to go through the process of onboarding a new customer. And as I mentioned, onboarding is a team sport. So I'm going to be playing the part of two different personas in this journey. We're going to start the journey in Salesforce, in CRM. CRM is a critical connected application when we think about customer data management and MDM. And that's because CRM is typically an origination point for customer master data, is typically a key contributor to customer master data, and of course, is a key consumer of trustworthy data. So I'll be playing the part of two personas, starting off in Salesforce. So let's take a look at that in action. So I'll be playing the part of a sales representative who wants to onboard a new customer into the ecosystem. And of course, I do so in my system of choice, Salesforce. So close connectivity and interoperability between Salesforce and MDM is critical to success. And we do so with MDM Smart Sync for Salesforce. And we're going to take a look at that in action. So let's log in here as the sales representative. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new account in Salesforce. Okay. We'll go ahead, enter some minimal information and create this account. So here we're presented with potential duplicates that may exist within the enterprise. This is MDM Smart Sync for Salesforce. It's not just a data pipeline that streamlines connectivity between Salesforce and MDM. It's also extending MDM discipline and governance directly in Salesforce where it's needed. So the sales rep is presented with a potential duplicate that exists. We can see that intelligent fuzzy matching has identified that there is a Chambers and Owen that already exists. And what's interesting here is if we look at the source of this record, it actually resides in MDM. So what we're saying here is this record doesn't exist in this Salesforce environment. And that's not uncommon because you may have multiple CRM systems across different lines of business, opcos, and regions. But what we can see here is this record exists in MDM, it exists in the enterprise, and I can be prevented from creating duplicates at the point of entry. So let's go ahead and preview this record dynamically in Salesforce, and I can get a better view of the information that's held. And now I can choose to pull this record in using MDM Smart Sync for Salesforce, ensuring that we're harmonizing data, preventing duplicates at the point of entry. So I'm going to go ahead and import this record dynamically into Salesforce. And that's done. And notice that this is a fully enriched record. All of that rich information we already hold on the customer is brought into Salesforce, and I can continue with my sales engagement. So let's go ahead and create the second account, the second customer. Same process applies here. We're going to go and create a new account, and this time it's Nikola Corporation, the second customer that I, as the sales rep, need to onboard. So there we go. So with the seamless check behind the scenes, no duplicates were presented, and I'm ready to proceed with onboarding or initiating the onboarding process of this customer. So I'll go ahead and save and initiate onboarding. Now that's where now we see the passing of the baton. Remember, I talked about it being a team sport. I'm now taking the hat off of the sales representative, and I'm now the MDM operations lead. My role is to ensure that enrichment of the initial record that was created is performed, so initial enrichment. I need to validate the details that were entered and basically orchestrate this onboarding process. And my system of choice is Business Partner Data Cloud. That's what you're seeing on screen now. So if we have a look in here, just hit refresh, I can see that, again, powered by MDM Smart Sync for Salesforce, we have a new onboarding task that awaits my attention. I've got a high priority task. If I go and take a look here, this is Nikola Corporation. This is what was entered in Salesforce, the passing of the baton, and I'm going to continue this streamlined orchestrated onboarding journey. So let's go ahead and take a look at the record. Now immediately I'm presented with something that needs my attention. We can see here that Nikola Corporation has been identified as a risk assessment or a high risk. So this is done behind the scenes seamlessly as that record flows in. It's being enriched with Dun & Bradstreet data to empower me to get the right data at the right time and act upon it. So here I must do something to make sure that this is something that's tracked during this onboarding process. So let's take a look. I need to give this a reason or actually mark this for approval within the finance department, and that's what my workflow allows me to do. So let's go ahead and mark for additional finance review. Great thing here is the right data served to the right persona at the right time to streamline the process. Let's go ahead and save that. So let's revisit. If you remember, what did I enter in Salesforce? I entered a company name and an address. So let's go and check the information that was entered in Salesforce. And here you can see that, again, seamlessly as part of the onboarding journey into the platform, address verification powered by GBG locate has occurred. So you can see this is the information that was originally input in Salesforce, and I've decided to display the standardized verified address to the user here. So we can see that the +4 of the zip has been added. So more detail, enriched information from the get-go. I also want to add a shipping address. Close that. So I'm going to go ahead and state this is not the main address is not the shipping address. And you can see dynamically the system is presenting me with the information that I need to enter. So let's go ahead and add a shipping address. So as I start typing here, we can see that suggestions are being presented to me as I type. Now, this is again powered by GBG locate, so through minimal keystrokes, I can in real time find and capture a verified address. Let's go ahead and add that address in the system, and then save and move on. So we talked about the D&B enrichment a minute ago. So as a reminder, that was the very important information that was presented to me to identify that there is a potential credit risk with this customer that I need to be aware of. I marked that for finance approval, fantastic. There's an additional data here that's been made available as part of that D&B enrichment process. So there's a wealth of data from firmographic information about the business partner. It can be information to support sanctions, watch lists, and screening for compliance, AML, know your customer initiatives, credit risk assessments like we've seen, and sales and marketing insight. But the key point here is streamlining and automating that process of enrichment with this mantra of the right data at the right time for the right persona. And finally, we want to look at another key aspect of what we need to do as part of business partner onboarding is to be able to understand if this record is part of another business partner record. If you will, is there a subsidiary or controlling company we need to be aware of? And I can do that as part of the onboarding journey, but also as consolidation. So let's go and take a look at the D&B global hierarchy. Again, seamlessly automated. I can see that this record is actually a subsidiary and parent of a range of other records within the family tree. This information is significant when we think about how I can leverage that information to drive things like upsell and cross-sell opportunity, to be able to understand from a sales and reporting perspective things like consolidated spend. So understanding that Nikola Corporation is a subsidiary of another organization that I may or may not be doing business with. But again, this information is seamlessly presented to me and made available to drive downstream business process. So that's my part of the onboarding journey done with the MDM operations lead, and I can now pass this on to the next phase in the workflow, which will be to finance enrichment. Now the finance team will have the same experience, the right data at the right time, underpinned by all of the data integrity and data governance needed to supercharge business partner onboarding. Let's go ahead and submit this to finance approval. And I'll also make a note here that a high credit risk was identified. So that concludes the demonstration for today.